Hello, and welcome to part 1 of my Edwardian lingerie dress series. I hope you're ready for lots of insertion lace. I've been working on my Edwardian lingerie dress project for so long that I'm calling it the glacier dress, both because it has been moving so slowly and because, just like a glacier, it may look white from far away, but if you get up close, you can see that it is actually a very pale blue. This dress started life as the mock-up for my first Edwardian blouse waist, and I knew even at the time that I wanted to use it as a wearable mock-up. I almost always do. But I didn't want just another blouse. Oh no. I wanted to turn it into a dress, specifically a lingerie dress. However, I did not actually have enough fabric to do that, which meant I needed to be creative. You'll see how in a minute. As of this recording, the dress is still not done, but I hope to have it completed soon because I have an actual event to wear it for, and I've been dreaming about swanning around in my house in this dress for almost 2 years now. So I'm in the final push to finish it in the next 2 weeks. In the meantime, I have so much footage of making it that I'm going to do a whole series of videos on the process. This first one is about the design phase and starting to figure out the lace insertion that will allow me to make this dress with not quite enough fabric. So this is as far as I got with the mock-up of my blouse waist, which was really just trying it on and making sure it overlapped enough in the back to close and fit well across the shoulders and chest and all of that, because it's very loose in the waist area. But now I want to make this mock-up into a dress. I did cut out the rest of the pieces when I was working on it the first time. I got as far as hemming the peplum, but didn't actually attach it to the blouse. And I have the collar, the cuffs, and the sleeves. Huge pieces of fabric. And I have some fabric left. Not really a whole lot, but I have a plan. This is how much I have. It is doubled over, so this is the folded edge. And, focus please. Along the folded edge, it is long enough for a full length of a skirt. And then I'm thinking from the rest of this, I can cut panels to make from the waist to around the knees. And then I will supplement with a different fabric. It's not the exact same fabric. You can see it's slightly more saturated blue. They're both very pale blue, but it is very similar in drape and feel. So I will cut basically a ruffle that will go around 3/4 of the skirt from the additional fabric. And to bring it all together, I have pale blue lace. This is the basic concept I'm working with. I made this sketch just to get my ideas down on paper and be able to better explain it. So the main fabric, which I've already cut out the entire blouse, will be the top portion, the front entire panel of the skirt, and then the side panels down to around the knee. And then my plan is to take this wide lace and sew it as insertion lace to connect the two pieces. And I would also like to have it at the waist and possibly coming down the front of the blouse. Then this fabric will fill in the rest of the skirt, give it a good trumpet flare at the bottom. And I will have this lace coming down from the top of the shoulders and continuing after the waistband to the floor. And I think if I remove this piping from this very interesting lace trim and ungather these, and it is 2 separate pieces of lace tacked together, then I will have enough to make some fun. I'm kind of leaning towards this diamond pattern down the front panel, and maybe some more fun on the sleeves. We shall see. I have 3 yards of the wide lace, 11.5 yards of the medium lace, and 2.5 yards of the gathered lace, which is narrower but also double and gathered, so once I take it off of the blue piping, I will have significantly more. I was a little concerned about the slightly different colors of blue all working together in the same garment, so I put together just a little test to see how the 2 different colors of fabric and the 2 main colors of lace will work together at an intersection, and I think it's going to be just fine. Mass manufactured trim like this is typically made with some kind of industrial chain stitch machine. So taking apart is simply a matter of finding the right thread to pull. I will admit I am not particularly skilled at finding the right thread. I don't actually know how to find the right thread, so for me it's simply a process of trial and error. I only know that this is going in the right direction because I've already done this much, but the thread broke, so now I have to find it again. It's not easy. Oh, there it is. So I discovered while I was taking it apart that this is not actually piping, but rouleau trim, I believe it is called. Also, the lace is not nearly as blue without it. It just has this little bit of blue along the edging. But I'm going to make it work anyway, because I now have like 9 yards of this stuff. So this is how I'm making the best use out of my limited remaining fabric to make the skirt. Also, that noise is my son in his bouncer, so ignore that. I have laid the center front panel from the Scroop Patterns walking skirt on the fold, and I will use, this is the back piece, it's just rolled up, to give myself the curve of the hem at the widest possible part, and I'm going to leave it about here for the waist. And I will probably add a line of insertion lace where there would normally be a seam between side and back. I'm going to use this lace for the seam between the front panel and the side, and then again to fake a seam between side and back. And I will probably also use it maybe doubled so that it's scalloped on both edges in the center back seam. I have measured my wide insertion lace to make sure I have enough to go down the center front of the blouse, and then enough to go around my waist with a little bit of room in case I grow, so that I can let out the folded edge at either end, add room to the skirt, etc. And then I should still have enough, this is doubled over, to attach the ruffle of the additional skirt fabric in a slightly different blue below this end of the side and back panels of the skirt. So here's an approximate layout of the skirt now that I have the front and side back pieces cut out. I have enough length and width of my slightly darker pale blue fabric to get almost a double width, I believe, of ruffle under the insertion lace on the side and back. I'm going to see if I have enough left of this narrower scalloped lace to also go around the hem, which would be really nice. But my first priorities will be the long panel seams, an additional seam between side and back, and potentially the back. We'll see. Okay, it looks like I should have like just enough. I measured how much I would need. This is everything I want to use for the vertical seams in the skirt and continuing up into the bodice. And then I measured what I have left and made sure that I went back across this portion twice to account for the doubling of the width. But I should have enough to use this lace for the hem, which means I can use this lace to do some fun decorative bits on the sleeves and potentially also on the center front panel, which will be necessary because there is this lovely tape mark that I could not cut around because I had to make the best use of my fabric possible. So I'm going to see what I can do to make a fun design with this lace that exactly covers the tape mark, but also becomes decorative throughout the center front panel. I love it when things work out like this. So I just started pinning the lace in place, covering up that tape mark, and decided to just see where that angle would take me. When I got up here, I thought it would be fun to do a little loop, bring it back down, mirror it on the other side. And then I thought, hey, why don't I do the same thing in reverse at the top? But then that looked really blank in the middle, so I just did a cross with the extra bit of lace, as you can see. You're okay, Peanut. As you can see, I have a good amount left over from both pieces of lace, and I will probably do a similar design on the sleeves. Also, I have more than it looks like I have because I haven't pressed this lace flat yet. It was gathered, as you may recall, to that bit of rouleau trim. And when I press it out, I will get even more length. But since it was so nicely gathered, it will be fairly easy to get the curve in these loops to come back again. The lace insertion honestly flummoxed me at first. I've done insertion lace before, but only straight lines that didn't intersect. This was my first time doing both curves and overlapping lines. I did a trial run with a fabric scrap and some cheap poly lace that I have no other use for. I tried at first to do the first step on both lines of lace, but ran into trouble when it came time to cut away the fabric underneath. This did not work. So I figured out, with a bit of help from a friend, that I would need to do all of the steps on one line of the design before I could cross it with the other line. So, quick overview of lace insertion, at least the method I used. Sew your lace along both edges, press, cut carefully between the lines of stitching just through the fabric underneath the lace. Then press the cut edges out away from the center. Finally, stitch over the edge of the lace again. I like to use a narrow zigzag stitch, catching the pressed edges of the fabric underneath. If you are crossing lines, once all the steps are done on the first line, just repeat them with the remaining part of the design. This time you will be cutting through the first line of the lace where it intersects with the second line you have just sewn over the top. So that's part one of the glacier dress. I hope to not only have the dress itself finished soon, but another video in the series ready to be published by the end of the month. I will probably do separate videos on making the skirt, the bodice, and the sleeves, though I may combine those last two parts into one video. In the meantime, leave me a comment with which natural phenomenon I should base my next historical garment on. I'm only half kidding. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a like, and if you would like to see more, definitely subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Bye.